What drives a person to destroy something cherished by an entire community? In the small town of Willow Creek, where the soccer field was more than just a patch of grass, it was a symbol of unity, a place where dreams were born and memories forged. The answer came in the form of Karen Whitaker. Her name would soon be whispered with a mix of disbelief and outrage, forever tied to the day she tore apart the heart of our town. It was a crisp autumn evening, the kind where the air smells of leaves and anticipation. The Willow Creek Wildcats, our local youth soccer team, were facing their rivals, the Bentonville Bears, in the championship game. The stands were packed with families, their cheers echoing across the field. Kids waved homemade signs, and parents clutched thermoses of coffee, their eyes glued to the game. Among them was Karen, a single mother whose son, Ethan, was the Wildcats' star striker. Ethan was a quiet boy, his talent on the field speaking louder than his words ever could. Karen, however, was the opposite: loud, unyielding, and fiercely protective. She was a regular at games, her voice cutting through the crowd with critiques of the referee, the coach, and sometimes even her own son. The game was neck and neck, a 2-2 tie as the final minutes ticked down. Ethan had a chance to score, a clear shot at the goal, but he hesitated, and the ball sailed wide. The whistle blew, and the Bears won in a penalty shootout. The Wildcats were devastated, their heads bowed as they trudged off the field. Karen's face was a storm cloud, her fists clenched as she muttered under her breath. No one could have predicted what would happen next. As the crowd dispersed and the field emptied, Karen lingered. Most assumed she was waiting to console Ethan, who had retreated to the locker room in tears. But then, a low rumble broke the evening's quiet. Heads turned as Karen's SUV roared onto the field, its tires tearing into the pristine grass. Gasps rippled through the remaining spectators as she floored the accelerator, carving deep ruts into the turf. She spun the vehicle in circles, mud and grass flying, her face a mask of fury visible through the windshield. It was a spectacle of rage, a deliberate act of destruction that left the field looking like a war zone. By the time the police arrived, Karen had stopped, her SUV mired in the muck she'd created. She stepped out, defiant, her eyes blazing as she shouted about the injustice of the game, the biased referee, and how her son deserved better. The crowd was stunned into silence, watching as she was led away in handcuffs. The field, once a vibrant green canvas for our town's pride, was now a scarred mess. The next morning, the damage was assessed: $180,000 to repair the field, an astronomical sum for a small town like ours. The story spread like wildfire, plastered across local news and social media. Karen became a pariah, her name synonymous with reckless anger. But there was more to the story, a twist no one saw coming, one that would force us to question our quick judgments. Enter Mrs. Evelyn Carter, a retired schoolteacher who lived across from the soccer field. She was a quiet fixture in Willow Creek, known for her garden of vibrant Karen flowers, delicate white blooms with fiery red centers, a symbol of resilience in the face of hardship. Evelyn had watched the game from her porch, her heart breaking for Ethan as he missed that crucial shot. She'd also seen Karen's outburst, but unlike the rest of us, she didn't turn away in judgment. Instead, she visited Karen the next day, bringing a bouquet of her Karen flowers and a willingness to listen. Evelyn's story changed everything. She revealed that Karen had been struggling for years, raising Ethan alone after a bitter divorce. The soccer field was more than a game to her; it was a lifeline, a place where Ethan could shine and escape the weight of their hardships. That night, Karen had received a call just before the game. Her ex-husband was suing for full custody of Ethan, claiming she was an unfit mother. The missed shot, the loss, the jeers from the crowd, it was all too much. Karen's act wasn't just anger. It was a cry of despair from a woman pushed to her breaking point. The town's reaction was mixed. Some softened, seeing Karen's pain through Evelyn's eyes. Others remained furious, arguing that her personal struggles didn't justify destroying a public space. The court was less forgiving. Karen was fined $180,000 and ordered to oversee the resodding of the field as part of her community service. The financial burden was crushing. She'd have to sell her home, her car, everything she'd worked for. Ethan, caught in the crossfire, withdrew even further, his love for soccer tainted by his mother's actions. As the weeks passed, the town grappled with its own role in the tragedy. We'd all cheered for Ethan, but how many of us had truly seen Karen? How many had noticed the strain in her eyes, the way she clung to her son's success as if it were her own salvation? Evelyn, with her quiet wisdom, began organizing community meetings to discuss healing not just the field, but the fractures in our town. She brought her Karen flowers to each meeting, their delicate beauty a reminder that strength could grow from broken places. The resodding began in the spring, and Karen was there every day, her hands in the dirt, her face etched with exhaustion. Ethan joined her sometimes, silently planting new grass alongside his mother. It was a grueling task, one that drew curious onlookers. Some came to gawk, others to help. Slowly, a few volunteers led by Evelyn joined the effort. They worked side by side with Karen, not because they excused her actions, but because they saw the human behind them. The field began to heal, its green returning blade by blade, but the cost to Karen was irreversible. By summer, the field was ready for its first game since the incident. The Wildcats played, and Ethan scored the winning goal. The crowd roared, but Karen wasn't there to see it. She'd sold her home to pay the fine and moved to a small apartment on the edge of town, her spirit as scarred as the field had been. Ethan, now living with his father part-time, rarely spoke of his mother. The victory felt hollow, a reminder of what had been lost. At the season's end, Evelyn planted a border of Karen flowers around the field, their red and white blooms a quiet tribute to the woman who'd both destroyed and helped rebuild it. The flowers became a symbol for Willow Creek, a reminder that rage and redemption could grow from the same soil. But for Karen, there was no happy ending. She'd lost her son's trust, her place in the community, and the field she'd once seen as a sanctuary. The town moved on, the field thrived, but Karen's story lingered like a shadow, a cautionary tale of what happens when pain is left unseen. We all played a part in this tragedy, Karen with her reckless act, the town with its quick condemnation, and even those of us who stood by, watching, judging, but never reaching out. The Karen flowers bloom every spring, their beauty a bittersweet reminder of the cost of our failures. And as I walk past that field, I can't help but wonder, could we have stopped her before she drove onto the grass? Could we have seen her pain before it tore us all apart? Andy.